The last year has been one big exercise in letting go of expectations, of control, of so much.
Recording. So the first one is, how would you describe the last year?
Living room. That's it.
James's delicious and healthy homemade dinners.
Terrifying, sometimes feeling hopeless and helpless. Scary for my Asian siblings because they were being attacked.
The last year was just like a recalculation. It just seemed like everything we did, we had to rethink how we did it, and we had to get used to that.
Last year for me is the year to learn about ourselves, about our shortcomings and edges like fears and worries, as well as our strengths like hope and resilience and love for each other.
And I think it was a chance for people to see what a mess we're making of the world and to step back from it for a little while.
We began on March 15th, 2020 in a new kind of reality, with CPC's first entirely virtual service. But we quickly realized that the church was not the building and that we were safer to worship from home. In fact, sheltering in place for those who were able was the best way to live into our faith, particularly in caring for the health of our neighbors. I have wished we could gather. I'm so grateful for the resiliency of this community, supporting those faced with the monumental tasks of distance learning and working from home while managing so much, sheltering in place often in isolation, and learning new faith practices for the road ahead. What has been most challenging in the last year?
The severed connections have been the most challenging. As a people person, it's been such a struggle.
Working from home and having your home be an office instead of a place that you relax.
It was so scary to be a person of color. And when George Floyd was killed, I went into a tailspin. I really did. I have, as I've told people, nephews that are brown and black. And just thinking about something happening like that to my boys or my grandsons, that was the scariest part of 2020.
Last year, we faced the dual pandemics of COVID and racism. COVID brought such suffering amongst those who are older, deep isolation, fear, and anxiety. Children and youth suffered away from in-person school, suffering with declining mental health, and having to age beyond their years, each taking on the trauma of this time. Because of poor access to healthcare, Black and brown peoples suffered disproportionately. After the killings of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and too many more, we each wrestled with our own complicity in the system of white supremacy and structural racism. Endeavored to listen to our people of color siblings suffering from COVID, job loss, and racism. Where do you see hope?
Hope continues to show up every time we ask again, how can I show up for my neighbors? How can I be community in this new time? That's a question we keep asking and we keep answering time and time again. That's where the hope is.
I see hope in all the new ways that people have found to stay in touch and let each other know that they care about each other, even when they can't be together or see one another in person. And I see hope in growing things and the garden at church that's taking shape and that we know is going to go feed people in our community who are in need. I see hope in people getting vaccines. It's really exciting to get updates from friends and family who are saying that they got their first shot or they're getting close to being eligible for their first shot or they've finished the whole course of vaccination and now they can breathe a little more easily. Those are places I see hope.
I see hope in the kindness of people. I see hope in white people really owning up to their white privilege and doing something about it, trying to dismantle this horrific system. Ignorance is not bliss. And I think white people that are trying are understanding that. I didn't know, well, now I know how complicit I was. And we're trying to work through that. That gives me hope.
What has been giving you hope the last year?
Seeing nature, seeing how the earth goes on with us or without us, and seeing how people have stepped forward to help each other, including at Clarendon.
Also for me to see how resilient kids are, especially emotional resilience, to be able to stay the entire school year at home.
Blessings on all of us as we process these times, as we continue to grieve, as we make plans, as we put our faith in God who creates life out of death, who is calling us together to build something new for the common good. And may God's kingdom be glorified. Amen.